everyone else is writing their own story. And so if you put the pen in their hand, the best you can ever hope to be is a secondary character. Well, hey guys, welcome to another episode of Aspire Daily, where we spend a little bit of time every single day looking at quotes from the people that matter. Each day we look at another successful person from history and we pick their brain by looking at what they've written in order to inspire us to achieve the same level of success in our own modern world. Today we look at a quote from Irene Kasorla, who isn't the most well-known person today, but in the 80s and 90s was a well-known talk show and radio host who even won a Woman of the Year award. The quote from Kasorla that we'll be examining today is, "The pen that writes your life story must be held in your own hand." Now, I love this quote. It's not only inspiring, but it's actually really insightful. And it reminds us that the direction of our lives ultimately needs to be dictated by our own passions and our own actions. Now, in our modern world, this quote is so important and it's so helpful because for the vast majority of people, the pen that's writing their story is in the hands of others. For some people, it's that their parents who genuinely mean well and want the best for them have written a story for their children that doesn't jive with their own passions, interests, and abilities. Many people are left frustrated and stuck in life because they're constantly trying to please their parents, even when their parents aren't looking over their shoulder anymore. For others of us, the pen that's writing our life story is actually in the hands of our schools. For 13 years, at least here in America, students go to school and they're basically given one clear path and direction to their future. Do well in school, perform high academically, go to a good college, and get into a good career with a big company. And of course, these are great goals and they're excellent to have if these are the goals that you have written for yourself as you develop your life story to create you into the person that you want to be. But for many people, these goals do not mesh with who they are. We have the people who love to work with their hands, who love to build things, who love to create things. And we have the artists who love to add value, not in sense of money, but in sense of creativity. And so many people remain squelched and unsuccessful in life because they're trying to be something that they're not and live up to the expectations of a school that's long in their past. Similarly, for other people, the pen to their life story is in the hands of society. We structure our life story based on what's going to please other people and what's going to make the people around us happy rather than based on what truly speaks to us. Because the story of society is centered on things like fame, success, and money, so many people dive headfirst into that without even asking themselves if that's what's truly going to fulfill them and give their life purpose and meaning. In all of these examples, whether it be our parents, our schools, or society around us, and probably many more things, people are unable to write their own story because they're busy writing the story of somebody else. What this has created is a culture with higher rates of depression than any culture in all of history. A culture where 75% of people are dissatisfied with their jobs and completely unhappy with the direction that their life is going. But if we know that that's the result of the story that everybody else is writing, why would we want to spend all the time and effort just to duplicate that? You see, most people in the world are completely focused on themselves. And so if you base your story on the pen in someone else's hand, you're never going to be anything more than a secondary character. Now, it's okay, and actually a good thing, to be a secondary character in someone else's story. But don't let yourself be a secondary character in their story at the expense of being the main character in your own. The fact is that to build the life we truly want, we need to give ourselves permission to put the pen in our own hand so that we can write a story about us that's truly unique. If we don't, and we put our pen in the hand of someone else, we can only expect to achieve what they've achieved. And we can only expect to be as fulfilled as they are. That is a pretty bleak picture when you look at the state of society today. Now, there's another aspect to this quote that's equally important, and that is the pen to your own story doesn't need to be in your head, it needs to be in your hand. You see, stories don't write themselves. I think most people have a picture and a story in their head of the life that they want to live. But for most people, they never write that story. They might write a sentence, they might write a paragraph, they might even write a short essay, but they never write a full story because at some point they put the pen down. You see, if you're lazy or you're scared and you put the pen down just as you've written the first sentence, you'll never get to see what happens at the end. You'll still get to be in a story, but you'll be a character that's developed and designed by somebody else. So as you look at your life today, now and into the future, I want to encourage you to pick up the pen and start writing. We all have a story. The question is, are we going to be the one writing the story? Or are we going to be the one written into the story for somebody else?